And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to another episode of RBLR Bucs, your go-to podcast for all things Tampa Bay Buccaneers related. I'm Musab, one of your co-hosts for today's show, and boy, do we have a lot to cover. All right, well, it's the offseason. I get it. It kind of sucks not having live NFL action, but hey, fear not. Moves are being made, and guess what? On the bright side, we are 1 week closer to the NFL draft, folks. And let's also talk about Tampa Bay sports thriving, huh? The Lightning struck with the win yesterday. Rays were on fire this Tuesday, and I know they took an L yesterday. I know they took an L yesterday, but you know what? I'm all about those good vibes. And speaking of good vibes, how about those Rowdies? All right, they dominated this past Saturday with a 4-1 win. So, and you know what? I decided to actually, spice up the fit a little bit today. I'm repping the Rays a little bit, but I actually just copped this little basic Buccaneer shirt for anyone actually watching. It's nothing special, but I just got it for the low. So, anyways, there's that. But that being said, we do have a lot to cover, such as we're going to go over some draft positions, for example. On top of that, we will also be discussing a new depth piece pickup. So, when I say we, though, I mean me and the dynamic duo. All right, this dynamic duo is the fiery force igniting Tampa Bay's sports scene. First up, we have a sports enthusiast with an unmatched passion for all things Tampa Bay. He is Zach Blaine. Zach, what's going on with you, man?
Oh, not much, brother. I figured I'm repping Stranger Things today. If we're doing a closed show off sort of episode. No, man, I've been good. I got to watch some football this weekend, watch the UFL opening week. It was actually some solid football, so it felt good to just get to see that.
Right on. Happy to hear that. And last but certainly not least, we have Carter Brantley, another diehard Tampa Bay sports fan who is always ready to bring the heat to any sports debate. And I'll tell you this, listeners, I know Carter's got a hot place to get some fresh cops or fresh fits, but he'll drop that later. But until then, Carter, what's the good word, man? And I'm pretty sure last week you had said you were going to go to the Rays game. Correct me if I'm wrong. And if you did, how was it, man?
I did, yeah. I went to opening day and then the Saturday game. They lost opening day, but they won the Saturday game that I went to. And then this past Tuesday, I went to that Tuesday night game, and they won that one, like you said. Unfortunately, they lost yesterday afternoon. They had an off day today, but yeah, and I appreciate the clothes, the modeling that y'all are doing. That's fantastic. I have a Walter Anderson shirt. He's a Mississippi artist, courtesy of Claire Brantley, my mother.
Sweet lady. Great cookies.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear. Yeah, I mean, if the Bucs win 9 games again, or 9 or more games again this year, she'll have to send you some more.
We're gonna have to talk on Twitter. I'll have to figure out another bet for her.
For sure. Maybe she'll mix it up and make brownies this time.
Now you're making me want to make a bet. Yeah, I got to think of something.
Got to cook something up for sure. The over unders or whatever the possibility.
That's with Mama Brantley. You don't win money, but you don't win money. You win cookies.
That's right. Oh man, risk-free bets with Claire Brantley. She can be our sportsbook sponsor, since all the sports teams seem to have those nasty sportsbook sponsors. Y'all have FanDuel, we have Claire Brantley. But anyways, yeah, like Musa mentioned, we got a great show coming up, and we've got some great content coming out for the rest of this month, leading up to the draft, throughout the offseason, and then, of course, during the season. So if you want to hear all that, if you want to tune in, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. But, the big news this week was Randy Gregory. He is a Buck. He was formerly of the 49ers this past season, the second half of the year. Before that, he was with the Broncos. Before that, he kind of bounced around a little bit. He was with the Cowboys for a while. He had some productive seasons there. So what are y'all's initial thoughts about the signing? And more importantly, we'll get to this position later with another episode. So that's another reason to like and subscribe. But do you think that this further cements the idea that the Bucs maybe go corner round 1? Musab, we'll start with you, man. Overall thoughts and how this affects draft positioning.
Overall thoughts are, it's veteran help. He's cheap, backup material at best, for the right price. I think, he's going to be a good depth piece. I don't know. I guess my question is, some people were saying that if he's going to even be relevant at all on the Buccaneers, maybe he's just a possible camp body, but I'll let y'all answer that. But, I think, listen, I'm all about depth, especially on our defense. I think rotation is very important for any team that actually wants to be a Super Bowl contender. So, and I actually had seen a quick article. I just want to kind of the vibe that I got from Gregory is that he seems quite humble. From Pewter Report, Gregory said that I expect to help, expect to influence the team how I know I can make plays the way I know I can. At the end of the day, it's really what you make it. I expect to come in here and keep my head down. And like I said, I know Coach Bowles and Coach Edwards when what they expect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been through quite a bit throughout his career. He's definitely, been there, done that. He's seen it all, so to speak. The 49ers obviously had a very successful year last year, to say the least. And, he got to go to the Super Bowl and do all that kind of stuff. So, but he's also been on the Broncos, which, as much to the chagrin of our producer, they struggled a bit last year and the year before. So, he's also been on the couch. He's been around. So it'll be really great to see how he can kind of influence, like he said, like Musab said, just kind of be a steadying influence. Sort of, hopefully, he can take that JPP role, the Shaq Barrett role, because the Bucs pass rushing group seemed to be missing that this year. Just heading into this offseason, cutting Shaq Barrett, no more JPP. So hopefully he can fill that role. But Zach, how about you, man? What were your initial thoughts on this signing and how it affects draft position?
I love it. This is one of my favorite signings from this year. I mean, favorite outside signings.
I was going to say,
favorite outside signings. It was just something that I wasn't expecting. I knew we needed it, but it seemed like we were too far gone or too far into the offseason to get someone that I think could make a difference. And I wholeheartedly believe if Randy can stay on the field, he can be a solid, I don't want to necessarily say like a difference maker. I don't think he's going to come in here and put up 15 sacks or anything. Like, I don't want it to sound crazy, but I do think at worst he's backup material. I think he starts over JTS and Anthony Nelson. So I know we're going to have Diaby probably on one end, but the other end, I think Gregory is a great starter for us, and I would love to see him as a starter on this team.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Can't really say I disagree with too many of your points. Yeah, I mean, he's going to really be a great competition guy at the very least. They'll probably draft someone, either in the second or third round if they don't spend the first round pick on the position, just depending on how it all shakes out, of course. I mean, it's a nice, steady, calming influence, and I'm really excited to see how he kind of just expands his role on the Bucs, and he can go out there and do his thing, of course. But we talked about it before. We're doing some position previews for the draft. So that's what the listeners are tuning in for, is hearing us talk about a bunch of college players. So I know we're excited. I'm excited. I know we've got our guys. So we'll start with the linebacker position, because the Bucs have kind of a lot of holes there, both depth wise and for the starting position. So they could very well spend at least one pick on this position. So I'd love to hear what y'all got, who y'all had in mind for each little round segment that we break it down into. And Musab, we'll start with you, man. Who's your round 1 or 2 guy for the linebacker position?
This one's going to be a little bit interesting just because I don't think there's any chance that we get a linebacker in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I also, I didn't want to take your guys's as well. So this is where it got a little hard. So I wanted, I guess, find, if you want to call it a hidden gem in the first or second round. This is James Williams from University of Miami. I just think that, other than the guys that y'all had down, his read and react timing is crazy. Okay, he is an absolute hard hitter, and he's got the size for it. I think that in the right system, with the right defense, of course, I think this dude could be a cheat code. But now the only interesting thing that I came to learn about him is that he's actually moving from safety to linebacker in the NFL. It appears that his athletic testing showed that he's more of a linebacker than a safety. Reports have also shown that he is, solid mobility and zone coverage from his tape, but and he can be used in a variety of ways. Now, the only kind of cons, I guess, with this is just the kind of transition from the safety to linebacker kind of raises questions about how is he going to fit that, or how is he going to transition properly, especially moving on now to the NFL, of course. And then just one big thing that was kind of, pretty common all around these reports, and I saw a little bit of it as well, which is just the ability to take on blocks is another con. But I don't know. I guess wherever he goes, I wish him all the best. But realistically, I don't think that we're going to get him, and I hope we don't get a linebacker in the first round or two. So I'll leave it at that, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm with you. The transition, I found that fascinating. We were talking about, when you brought it up in the little Google Doc that we have, so that we're not picking the same guys, because variety, gotta spice it up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, the transition from safety to linebacker, which ironically we're going to be talking about safety in the second half of the episode, so stick around for that. But yeah, the transition is very interesting. I find that fascinating just because, there are a few examples of guys that have done that sort of role, moving from safety to linebacker.
They had one, didn't they? Mark Barron.
That's right. Yeah. Mark Barron, Alabama. There was a guy, Deontay Buchanan. I think he was with the Cardinals. Bruce Arians had him doing that.
Yep.
Jabril Peppers kind of flirted with it out of Michigan. So there's been examples of it being done. And I'd be curious to see how he's able to make the adjustment. And yeah, I mean, he'd be an interesting guy maybe in the second round. But yeah, I'm with you, Musab. If the Bucs take a linebacker in the first or second round, that might not be the best thing. But and Jason Light, we trust. I don't want to, I don't want to preclude him from doing anything super tricky or fancy. But Zach, how about you, man? Who's your linebacker for the round one or two?
I have actually kind of been projecting this guy in our mock drafts. So I expect maybe a linebacker in round two.
Really? Okay.
So I'm going with Edgerrin Cooper out of Texas A&M. According to the scouting reports online, he's an all-around player, elite long speed. You're not going to necessarily blow by him, and he's able to catch up to a lot of guys. Some of his cons are open field tackling, though, which is a pretty big issue that we've dealt with recently from a certain linebacker that shall not be named.
Your favorite player?
Yeah, my all-time favorite Buck player.
For sure.
But yeah, outside of the open field tackling not being the best, he's really kind of an all-around player. Good in coverage, good at blitzing. So I would love to have him, and I think that he would be a day one starter for us.
Yeah, I mean, Edgerrin Cooper, I love the names that get trotted out. I mean, Edgerrin Cooper is a fantastic football name. Like, you hear about baseball names like Mookie Betts, classic baseball name. I mean, just really couldn't have picked it better. I know Lloyd Cushenberry III, a center out of LSU. Like, what a name. Like, I wanted the Bucs to sign him just so I could get a Cushenberry Bucs jersey. Like, God, that would have been fantastic. But yeah, Edgerrin Cooper definitely seems like a really solid guy. And hey, maybe Zach's right. Maybe he'll surprise it. Maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they go linebacker in the second round. Maybe they go first round. Who knows?
Well, let's not get too crazy. I don't think there's any first round talent guys after the first 10 picks. So
yeah, and it's tough. Off ball linebacker is not exactly a position that gets high draft picks anymore. Just because it's not exactly a wide receiver. It's not an edge guy. It's not a quarterback. It's not super high on a lot of teams' needs list. But anyways, I'll give y'all my guy. Mine's Jeremiah Trotter Jr. If that name sounds familiar, it's because his dad was also an NFL linebacker. So the lineage is there. I know. Sorry, I keep bringing up baseball, but baseball has a lot of guys that, they have dads. Antoine Winfield Jr., if we want to stick to football, his dad was a player. Asante Samuel Jr., a lot of sons that have a lot of success in the professional sports ranks. And I'm looking at Jeremiah Trotter Jr. as kind of that next guy. He's a borderline round 2 or 3 guy. According to most reports, it kind of reminded me of Levante David a little bit, just because he lacks a lot of that sideline to sideline dynamic speed that teams look for. But he more than makes up for it. He can put himself in the right position, has a lot of phenomenal instincts. He's coming out of Clemson. And I think that he would be the perfect pair for Levante David. If he falls to round 3, my goodness, the Bucs would be really wise to snatch him up. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he falls to round 3 early. They might maybe try to package both of those third-round picks to maybe move up, or maybe it doesn't take that, whatever the case may be. Yeah, I'd be really stoked to see Trotter in a Bucs uniform. I used to use his dad in NFL Street growing up. His dad was really good in NFL Street. That's definitely a childhood favorite game of mine.
Great childhood shout out.
Indeed, indeed. But Zach, I'll throw it right back to you, man, for the round 3 or 4 guy. You'll kick us off. Who's your linebacker for round 3 or 4?
So this one got a little hairy because I think this guy could very well be a second round guy, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him go in the second round. Probably one of my favorite linebackers in this draft, but Junior Colson out of Michigan. It's just a guy who his speed and athleticism is insane, but it does kind of give me a little bit of fear of the Devin White situation because his coverage skills are almost null and void. He does need some work on coverage, but as a run stopper and a blitzing linebacker, he will be very, very good at the next level. It's just his coverage skills are not fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we say this every episode that we have these things. As you get lower and lower with the draft, you're just not going to find perfect players. Otherwise they'd be going in the first round.
Exactly.
But yeah, Colson was definitely a name that popped out. You seem to be a big Michigan guy this year. It's almost like they won the national championship or something.
I know, and I can't lie to you. I hate it.
Yeah, I hate Michigan
how much
too.
I like their players this draft.
Yeah, I'm not a very big Michigan guy, but what are you gonna do? I'll continue it. I'll keep it going with the round 3 or 4 guys. I've got Cedric Gray. He's a bit like we've been talking about. Like he's kind of similar to Devin White. He gives me a little bit of that vibe. Just because according to most reports, he's got the athleticism. He's kind of the opposite of my last guy, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. But the difference is he's got a high motor and a really, really strong wealth of starting experiences. He was like a really, really just a long-term guy, a lot of production in college. So really impressive in that regard. But he is a weak tackler, and he's kind of more of a zone coverage guy, which kind of departs from the Devin White comparison. But he's kind of an anti-Devin. I don't know. He's just a different player entirely. I don't know why I'm making that comp. But yeah, I'm really excited about Cedric Gray. If he's there,
exactly the same, but nothing like him.
Exactly. I'm just talking to him on that here.
I gotta point out that Cedric Gray was my original choice for round 2 or 3 to 4 guys. I really like Cedric Gray for the same reason that you had mentioned. You had taken him first, so I had to go with a backup plan.
Sniped him. There you go. I'm a big Cedric Gray guy as well. So yeah, hopefully he's there at round 4 or one of the round 3 picks. That'd be a great pickup for the Bucs. But Musab, finish us off on round 3 or 4. Who's your linebacker for this?
Yeah, well, I got double sniped by both of y'all because I mean, I tell you this, I swear to God that I had Junior Colson actually as my possible round 1-2 guy. And I didn't even see that first because Zach had already put Edgerrin Cooper. So I was like, okay, perfect. I'll do Junior Colson. I scrolled down a little bit and I saw that Zach had already had Junior Colson. And then he puts in parentheses, maybe a second rounder. I was like, that's what I was thinking, man. Anyways, that being said, so left me with a little less options, but I do like this guy from Notre Dame, Marist. Oh man, I should have practiced his last name, Lufau.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Hopefully he's not hearing this, or maybe he is because he likes RBLR sports. But hey, he excels as
hearing this.
I hope. Yeah, you know what? Actually, yeah, I hope so too. So this guy, he excels as a blitzer. Now he has, when I was watching this tape, he was showing that he's really good at closing gaps rapidly. Pretty good he's pretty like a versatile athlete. He's fluid, fast enough to even match up with tight ends. So I think that with his experience, with playing various roles at Notre Dame, I think that's going to be helpful if he were to be on the Buccaneers. But the only things that I saw on the downside, other than him just being an absolute beast, this guy is super aggressive as well, if I forgot to mention that. But he's a little too kind of like, what's that word? Maybe jumpy, kind of is a little bad on the instincts when it comes to locating the ball on run plays. And then just something to note is that he did suffer an ACL injury in 2021. I am never too much of a kind of ACL injury person. I've just heard a lot of really bad stories. I really hope that this guy has a healthy and safe career, but that is like a red flag to me. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's hard to project those kind of things. It's hard to anticipate how a guy will bounce back from that kind of thing. Luckily, I mean, it's a bit easy. It's certainly easier than it used to be. That's the good news. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
certainly something to note.
But
So
I
yeah,
just hate it when like these reports are like, oh, if XYZ stays healthy, this guy could be an absolute stud. Man, if anyone stays healthy,
right.
they'll be you know what I'm saying, man? Like if Patrick Mahomes stays healthy, he'll be Patrick Mahomes. He'll still do, you know what I'm saying? So the hell with if he stays healthy.
Damn, I like that. Just getting rid of all the sports
Because
cliches.
I saw it a lot of times on his specific draft profile as well. If he stays healthy, if he stays healthy, that. It's like, okay, well, duh. Like,
Well, if he gets hurt though, he'll still be really good, even though he won't be playing. Like, yeah, that's the logic that
yeah,
they're
no
using.
one's ever written that before, huh?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, well, if he gets injured, he'll still actually be really good. Like, even if he's on the IL or whatever. Yeah, it's a very there's a lot of these football scouting cliches that are kind of frustrating, and that's certainly one of them. Musab Tariq debunking, football scouting cliches. I love it. But anyways, we'll move on to our day 3 guys, the hidden gems, if you will. I'm going to start it off. Mine's Jalen Ford. I like this guy because he's huge. Like he's 6'3", 235. He's got a lot of size, a lot of strength. So that just kind of excited me, just because you don't see that super duper often out of the linebacker position. They're usually a little bit more medium sized, not necessarily small by any stretch of the imagination, but just a little bit more mid-sized. But because of his size, he's not exactly the quickest. His pursuit speed can be a little bit lagging. But the good news is he's not bad in coverage. I think his run fits can be a bit tricky sometimes. So hopefully he can be able to work on that. And for a day 3 guy like this, you're just kind of hoping that maybe he'll sit on the practice squad or sit on the bench and learn some things. So who better to learn from than Levante David? So Jalen Ford out of Texas, that's my guy. But Zach, how about you, man? Who's your day 3 linebacker?
Oh, one of the best, another great name in this draft. Tommy Eichenberg out of Ohio State. I hate Ohio State more than any other college in the entire world, just because Ohio. But
Wow.
This guy is. I want to compare him to like a KJ Britt. Like, how we just heard Todd Bowles about, he doesn't have great speed, but he's really smart. Like, he knows where to be. That is essentially what Tommy Eichenberg is, according to the scouting reports. He's not going to blow you away with his athleticism, but he totaled 120 tackles. 77 of those were solo and 12 tackles for a loss while at this last year. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's just from this last year. Special teams guy, football IQ is phenomenal. Change of direction is awful. Athleticism is average, and then his coverage skills are not skills at this point.
Word.
With that being said, he is a special teams guy who I think could play very well on special teams, and another guy that learning behind Levante David is not going to hurt him at all.
Yeah, he can't really hurt anyone. Yeah, I like Eichenberg a lot too. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely an Ohio State player. Like you hear that name and you're like, yeah, he sounds like he went to Ohio State. I don't know what it is, but and he sounds like a linebacker too, like Leighton Vander Esch, just kind of that.
It does sound very linebackery.
Yeah, it's a very linebackery.
Sounds like he went to a prep school in high school or something as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a 4-year letter winner.
Yeah.
Probably got a girl back home, got a little golden retriever named Marley or something.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I'm getting a little too detailed.
Musab actually knows Tommy Eichenberg personally.
Right?
They're on a first name basis.
Tommy Eichenberg.
He's actually texting him right now. He's like, "Hey man, what's the name of your dog again?" Like, he's just trying to sprinkle little details. That's how he gets all the hidden gem scouting reports. Is Musab's just friends with all these guys. He's the NFL draft celebrity. So Musab, hit us with your guy. Who's your day 3 linebacker?
Oh man, my guy is Tyron Hopper. First of all, it just sounds that name just sounds mean. You know what I'm saying? Like man, if I'm boxing someone and I hear like in the other ring, Tyron Hopper, I'm like, oh snap. And then you see the dreadlocks and everything, man. This guy just looks like he's a beast. Okay. So the reason why I chose this guy is he's a multi-role kind of linebacker, and I'm thinking he's going to be in that kind of fifth, sixth round. All right, this guy has the agility to maneuver around blockers and navigate through kind of congestion and get the ball carrier. He's got athletic ability, of course, even with that size. I think that's amazing. He can cover against slot receivers and even match up with tight ends. And what I like about this guy is he actually participated in 468 special team plays while at Missouri. So even if he doesn't earn a starting position in his first year, I think it's clear that he would have an immediate effect on special teams wherever he goes. Now, the only cons are that he doesn't really use his hands too much to avoid blockage, especially when dealing with bigger guys. And his missed tackle rate is a little concerning. It is at 22%. I mean, listen, the guy's a beast, but seems like he doesn't really always execute. But hey, that's my hidden gem, my day 3 guy, Tyron Hopper.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely seeing that on all the kind of the NFL draft buzz kind of blogs. Just because with a name like Tyron Hopper, you better dang well read into it. I mean, good gracious, like with a name like that, it's like clickbait. It's like a clickbait headline. So yeah, I love that. I love him out of Missouri. Definitely a really nice day 3 kind of guy. Like we've been saying, a lot of flaws, but that's the nature of it. But if you're looking for some flawless fashion,
smooth.
If you're a fashionista and you're looking for some really dope threads, maybe you're looking for some NFL draft gear, definitely head to shop.rblrsports.com. We've got some really cool stuff for the Bucs. But also, Musab was talking up the Tampa Bay sports at the beginning of the show, and he wasn't lying. We're full gear. We're kicking it in. We got Rays stuff, Lightning, Rowdies, the whole shebang. So we're going to give you a promo code. That's Cannons, CANNONS. You type that bad boy in and you get 10% off your entire order, not just Bucs gear, all the rest of that stuff too. So definitely check it out. So after that, we'll transition to our second half of the show and we're getting into safeties. Safety position is definitely a big need, in my opinion, for the Bucs. I know, they made a signing with bringing back Jordan Whitehead, and that's huge. Him and Antoine Winfield Jr. are going to be great starting. But they need some more bodies, even if they just draft some guys in day 3, round 3 or 4. Whatever the case may be, they still need some guys to back it up because, injuries happen and also the preseason needs to be played. That's just unfortunately the nature of the beast. Safety is going to be a really important position regardless. But we'll start with some round 1 or 2 guys and I'll get things started. We're going to go with Dadrion Taylor Demerson. That's, quite of a bit of a lengthy name. He's really, really good out of Texas Tech. He's a good tackler. He's a really, really phenomenal athlete. Had one of the best 40 times at this position, but he's a bit undisciplined. He's got a little bit of a tendency to to bite on play fakes. That's what I'll say. That seems to be the consensus around him when you look it up on the scouting reports and everything like that. He just needs a little bit of refinement, and unfortunately that's kind of the case with a lot of these guys coming out of college. He's just gonna need a little bit of coaching, and I think that the Bucs do a great job with their safeties. I mean, good gracious, Mike Edwards, Jordan Whitehead, and Antoine Winfield Jr. They've been pumping out great safeties out of the draft for a while now. So taking a guy like Taylor Demerson, who's just got all the athletic ability in the world, I think would be a great fit, even if it is in round 2, which might be a bit of a stretch for the safety position since they already have 2 starters, but you can never have enough depth. He'd be a great project guy as well to kind of sit behind Jordan Whitehead for a while. Zach, how about you, man? I know you were kind of trapped behind our little shop plug because we just wanted to make sure that people got our link.
They had to get that promo code. We had to make
for sure. While I'm talking about yammering on about Dadrion Taylor Demerson, there's still, just anyways, throw it at us.
Yeah, for me, I kind of feel the same way you do. I don't think we take a safety in the first 2 rounds. But just to pick a guy, I went with Javon Bullard out of UGA, out of Georgia. If you don't know the acronyms, that's my fault. But out of Georgia, he is probably well above average football IQ, good at reading routes, and the ability to cover them. The biggest downside to him from the scouting reports is once he's beat, he's not catching up. Like it's hard for him to recover after being beat downfield. And he's an inconsistent tackler. When he's on, he's very, very good. He's not going to miss a tackle. When he's off, it's kind of like free touchdowns for him. So it's hit or miss. I don't think that there's like a game-changing safety first 2 rounds this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's hard to be a game-changing safety when the starting positions are kind of blocked up.
Exactly.
But, like I said, the depth is there. You need to have backups because Lord knows injuries happen, and they seem to happen a lot to the Bucs secondary. I don't know what it is.
You're telling me.
Yeah, about the corner and the safety position, but man, those injuries.
This draft is such a kind of weird one because it's such a deep position safety in the draft, but it's also like not very top heavy.
Yeah.
Mind.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, siphoning through all this stuff, a lot of the projections were like, well, this guy could be maybe a late first round pick, but
exactly.
Yeah, like for the past few years, Kyle Hamilton was a huge one. Like Kyle Hamilton for the Ravens, he was a big kind of. There was people saying that he might go top 5, top 10, and then of course he fell to the Ravens, and good for them because he's one of the best safeties in the NFL now. But yeah, there's not really a guy like that this year. There's not really a consensus sort of, oh yeah, man, this guy's a monster type of thing. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how it plays out. But Musab, how about you, man? Who's your round 1 or 2 safety?
Yeah, my round 1-2 safety is going to be Cameron Kinchens from Miami, another Miami boy. I actually had him in my mock draft, my first version. And actually, when I was going through my notes, I didn't realize it, but I actually gave him a shout out on our August 10th, 2023 podcast. Actually, we were just talking about some really early 2 prediction draft picks. But anyways, this guy is just really good at positioning himself, kind of, reading the routes and all that. He's got the speed, of course, and especially when it comes to tackling. I mean, the guy hits people just right at the right time. So amazing. And also, I would say one thing that also stands out is super physical, but the thing is also he's really good with that run support as well. Now, the only kind of downsides from reports that I've seen, for example, on NFL Draft Buzz, they had mentioned that, although he's kind of got some speed to him, he lacks that kind of explosiveness. And he's just going to overall have to just focus and master those kind of coverage things, as well as kind of tackling. But I guess, at this point, those kind of things, you can't be perfect and everything. So, but yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, I love Kitchens. If he's there in the second rounds, maybe take a shot at him, and then if he falls to round 3 for some ungodly reason, yeah, then I don't see that happening without something weird going on. But if that happens, then yeah, the Bucs gotta snatch him up pretty quick. But yeah, I like Kitchens a lot. He's really, really fun. Out of the U, gotta love Miami. So yeah, I'm really excited about all the guys that we mentioned. Really, if any of these guys in the round 1 or 2, if the Bucs just do decide to go safety and they pick one of our guys, and hey, great, I'd be pretty satisfied with any of them. Moving on to round 3 or 4, Musab, I'll throw it right back to you, man. Who's your guy for round 3 or 4 at the safety position?
Yeah, my round 3-4 guy is Bo Braid from Maryland. Yeah, so yeah, this is someone I was actually, this is someone I think we should definitely reach for. During his 2023 season, this guy had racked up 75 tackles, recorded 4 more tackles for a loss, racked an interception and 6 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble. And he was even invited to the Senior Bowl as well. Now, yeah, I think realistically he's going to be a day 2 for sure. I think someone who is a strong safety as well as someone who is also versatile when it comes to coverage and support. Now, the only kind of struggles or the kind of cons is just kind of, again, disengaging from blocks, a little bit slow on the reactions. But that's really about it, though. And then sometimes a little bit kind of, missed tackles, or he's been known to actually have some overly aggressive plays. So, that's not something you really want, someone who's, kind of hitting cheap shots and all that either. You don't want to keep on racking up penalties. But hey, overall, though, I think this guy's he's going to be a steal. Whoever gets him, I think he's got a bright future, though.
Yeah, and you like a little nastiness out of the safety position, right?
Yeah, for sure.
too.
For sure.
Even if they cross the line a little bit sometimes and draw penalties, like
Well,
CJ.
I mean, you have to be able to back it up, though. You know what I'm saying? It's
Oh,
one
of
thing if
course.
Jordan Whitehead's doing this, but if I don't know, Joe Schmob from some.
Yeah, D. Delaney, good
Chris
gracious.
Oh,
doing
you know
it.
what, man? Yeah, D. Delaney's excused in my book now.
For sure. No, D. Delaney can talk trash. I'm sorry, D. Delaney, if you're listening to this. Yeah, I'll follow that up with another Maryland guy because I love the Maryland vibes with the safety position. Cole Bishop's my guy. He's kind of a different player from the rest of these guys I think we'll have listed here in that he's not exactly a dynamic athlete. He certainly plays a bit stiff, but he's, kind of a well-rounded kind of guy. He's super capable of just contributing in both the run and the pass. That seems to be the consensus around the water cooler, if you will. And he's more of a fourth round guy. So I would love that because, I think the Bucs have a lot of other needs that they would need to address, in the first 3 rounds and then, hold back on the safety position and then maybe get a quality depth piece in the 4th round. And Cole Bishop would be a great guy for that. So that's going to be my guy. But if they draft either of the Maryland guys, that'd be really cool. But Zach, finish us off with this round 3 or 4 guy. Who's your safety?
Yeah, I figure I'll take us to the other coast. I'm gonna take Washington State safety Jaden Hicks. I got to rep the Pac-12 a little bit.
For sure, RIP.
Great closing speed, good size for the position, great deep ball ability, like to cover the deep ball. He's fast, but his athleticism isn't all there. Like his change of direction is below average, and he is also going along with Musab's guy, not very good at getting off of the blocks. So watching this guy play in the Pac-12, which it's crazy that feel like I'm one of the only people on here that watch Pac-12 football regularly.
I watch it here and there sometimes when all the other games are done and it's like midnight. When it's midnight in Florida, 9:00 over there. Yeah, sometimes I'll tune in.
But watching him play, he's very good at what he does, and I think that he's what we tell the kids when we're coaching the younger kids: be teachable. I think that he's a teachable guy, and it's shown he's improved every year. I think he could be very good if we take him. If we don't take him, he's going to be awful. I can tell.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, with all these guys, if they don't take him, the hell with them. They're gonna be horrible. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, I'm more of an SEC guy myself. If it's not SEC or USF, then I'm probably not interested if we're being
That's totally fair.
But in your defense, that goes for the Big Ten too. So, forget Ohio State, Michigan, all that ridiculousness. So it's not a Pac-12 thing. It's just, anyways. Yeah, I really liked all the safeties there in round 3 or 4. So we'll move to day 3. Zach, I'll throw it right back to you, brother, because I know it's been a while, man. Who's your Oregon State guy that you're including?
It's been 2 positions now that I haven't got to say an Oregon State guy. So I'm putting one in there. And all jokes aside, outside of Oregon State, outside of because he played for Oregon State, I think this guy is going to be very good. And this is going to be really bad because I still can't pronounce his first name, and he's on Oregon State. But Keton Oladapo. A lot of people probably haven't heard that name. This guy is a stud. I'm telling you, he's played, I believe he's at 4 years now because he was in the Senior Bowl. He was also invited to the Senior Bowl this year. Great build for an NFL guy. Good coverage ability, especially on tight ends, which I think is very important for the safety to be able to do. And then really good in run support. And that fits. I'm not calling him Antoine Winfield Jr. Don't take it that way. But it fits the Antoine Winfield kind of mold. He's great in the run game, great at covering tight ends. He gets beat with fast guys. He's not running with Tyreek Hill anytime soon or anything like that. But and he's an inconsistent wrap-up tackler. He'll lay a hit on somebody, but wrapping up's not his favorite thing to do. So it's kind of like having that dog in him. Just there's never a leash. He's just hitting. So I would love to have him sit behind Whitehead and Winfield and just be the next guy up because I think that he can do that. And he did it at Oregon State. He wasn't a 4-year starter, so he's sat and wait. He knows that you have to wait your turn, and I think he'd be a complete steal in the 5th or 6th round.
For sure. Yeah, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Musab, how about you, man? Who's your day 3 safety guy? Who's your hidden gem?
Yeah, man. We're gonna stay on that coast, but yeah, I'm gonna go against Zach's Oregon State Beavers, and I think this guy is a stud as well. I think he might be a better Pac-12 option.
Ooh,
I
Yeah,
mean,
this is
or-
Dominique Hampton, safety from the University of Washington.
trash.
He has the speed and he can deliver punishing hits. Okay, and this guy is as Zach mentioned, his guy. This guy's also he's an aggressive bulldog. All right, he's got good ball skills, especially when it comes to going for the ball, especially in the air. And when it came to his 39-inch vertical jump, and he actually recorded the best three-cone time among safeties. So this guy's got that speed, agility, and he can jump. Now, here are the cons, though. Yeah, this guy likes to hit hard, but tackling technique is a little bit inconsistent. And reports have also mentioned that, especially when it comes to even delivering hits or anything like that, when it comes to lowering his head, it's not really that aggressive, or sometimes he kind of doesn't really follow through with it or doesn't really do any impact. And I realized I was like, oh, this guy, I had played in the national championship game. Is there any kind of film I can just get from there? Because someone had mentioned actually that he was getting cooked a little bit in the national championship game. And the good thing is that he learned from it a little bit. And now he started to kind of to progress throughout the game. But that was something, again, the other reports had mentioned, PFF, Draft Buzz, is taking those poor angles. But I do think that, I mean, at this point, if you're a day three guy, whatever you can do, I think that's fine. At this point, I feel like NFL teams are just expecting at least a role player, maybe a camp body to, warm up the rest of the starters and all that, maybe, bring some competition. But I do think this guy has potential.
yeah, Hampton's.
Oladapo didn't get beat in the national championship game too bad.
Oh, Oladapo didn't make it to the national championship. Matter of fact, I don't even know. Matter of fact, I bet you 99% of the world wouldn't even know what bowl game Oladapo played in.
No, that's fair. That's fair. You're not wrong. Okay, I'll give it to you. Damn it.
I can't say I know what bowl game Oregon State was in, but
I can't tell you. I know what bowl game they played in this year.
oh man, you're an Oregon State fan.
Okay.
Good gracious.
Look, I love Oregon State. I rep Oregon State. I watch their games. I'm not a college football aficionado. I don't watch every college football game, so I don't know all the bowl game names. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many of them. I think the Pop-Tart Bowl was just so great.
We played Notre Dame. I know who we played because we got our ass.
I think it was it the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl
Tony
in
the
El
Tiger.
Paso?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was the Tony the Tiger Bowl.
Oh, hey, Tony the Tiger Bowl. I like the sound of that. Yeah, I mean, hey, the bowl games can be kind of goofy. I mean, good gracious, I don't know if y'all sat through the freaking USF one, but the Boca Raton Bowl, they played Syracuse and beat them 45-0, and it's because Syracuse had a tight end as their core. It was just nasty.
Yeah, we were on our third string quarterback. Both our starting quarterback transferred, our second string quarterback transferred, and we were on Ben Gilbranson.
Exactly. It's all just so it's all very silly, very ridiculous. But I'll lead us to the end of our safety position preview with my day three guy. It's going to be Tyke Smith out of Georgia. He was a fifth-year senior. He was in college for a minute, but the good news is he's still only 23. He was at West Virginia for a little bit, and then he transferred to UGA. Speaking of transfers, so yeah, I'm really big on Smith. But the bad news is he's an early day three guy. Most projections have him kind of in that fifth round range. So a lot of these day three guys that we like to talk about are, like Musab said, hidden gems. Smith's a little bit less hidden than the rest of them. He's a little bit more of a known commodity. He's a Georgia guy. Georgia guys are always the best. So yeah, he's definitely not the best in coverage. Like a lot of these guys, he's more of a run support kind of guy. He's got a lot of work in coverage. He just got to work on his instincts with route recognition, all the whole thing, zone and everything. So I'm kind of excited about Smith, but I'm also aware that he probably wouldn't. Hopefully, he wouldn't be starting anytime soon. That's the hope with him. He'd be a great depth piece, maybe a spot spot start, a spot appearance kind of guy. But yes, Tyke Smith's my guy to finish out the episode as well, because we're coming near the end. We really appreciate y'all tuning in. We covered linebackers and safeties, and next week we'll have even more positions to cover. So definitely stay tuned in for that. And if you liked what you heard, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. You can also give us a follow at the social medias at RBLR Sports on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We've got some great content coming out from our other shows as well. The Ray season's gearing up. The Lightning season's in full swing. Rowdies are coming out. So it's a lot of fun. Definitely check us out there as well. But as always, really appreciate y'all for tuning in. And go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.